Drivers, start your engines! The Lapped Traffic Podcast has brought you over 300 shows, driver and media interviews, awesome stories and entertainment, and one of the coolest fantasy leagues around. Get ready for another exciting season. Sit back, relax, and try not to get lapped. Now, here is your host, the Professor, Brendan Krall!
Wow, what is up, Lap Traffic Nation? Welcome, episode 338 of the Lap Traffic Podcast. Yes, I am your host, the Professor, Brandon Krall. It's good to know the mics still work down here in the man cave. Did not think 15 weeks would pass. It's the last show. There's Lap Traffic Nation probably consists of about 5 people, and 2 of them I have a text message chain with that's nonstop. So I don't know who the other 3 are, but glad you're here still. And hopefully we'll get a few back and all of that good stuff. Hope you all had a great Thanksgiving. The holiday season is in full swing here. And man, like I said, I did not think the span of shows that I did leading up to the traditional MIS race weekend for me, which is my home race, as the 5 of you know. Like I said, I didn't think it would be about 15 weeks before my next show. I can't believe that was August 20th, and here it is December frickin' 3rd. I do have to tell you guys, I miss doing this. I really do. Life has just been crazy. I really plan, though, and I know I've said this throughout this year, on making a much better effort of getting back into the groove next season, because season 8 of LTP was obviously not my best effort with the shows. But as I mentioned throughout the year, starting a business has really added some stress. Plus doing some part-time work, not to mention having a soon-to-be 3-year-old. There were times where, I thought about just coming down into the basement, recording maybe 20, 30 minutes by myself, but I know that's not what, you guys are used to. Didn't know how receptive that would be without guests and all that good stuff. So, I didn't, but maybe I should have, and maybe I will. Who knows? I felt like from the, the business, the catering side of things, that I had gotten into a good rhythm with things. And then we got the food truck, which added a whole new level of new things to work out. Board of Health applications, inspections, new menus, promotions, all of that good stuff. But now I feel like I got a pretty good handle on things, and, wanted to come down here and get with you guys at least one last time in the 2024 season. And hopefully come Daytona next year, we'll be much more active and back to putting content out on Twitter and audio that you guys are used to. We'll have to do some stuff to get that Lap Traffic PC handle refreshed and showing up in your feeds like it used to be. So I've also thought about maybe moving the interviews to audio tweets and posting the show. Who knows? We'll see. But what I can tell you is that the Lap Traffic Podcast will be back for season 9 of the show for the 2025 season, and hopefully in a much larger capacity than what we were in 2028. I think this is like show 21. And if you've been around for a minute, we used to do 40 and 50 shows a year. So anyways, I apologize. Hopefully you're here today, ready to kick back, relax for an hour or so, however long this ends up being. And yeah, we're just going to have some fun here. I do want to give a quick shout out to our Lap Traffic Fantasy winners. Yes, we still did the Lap Traffic Fantasy League each and every week, even though we weren't doing a show each and every week. And huge congratulations to Brett Williams, who finished the season champ. Jeremy Waterbury came in second. Yours truly came in third. And Kent Dolphay wrapped out the Final Four with regards to the playoffs and all that. Trophies have been mailed out and all that good stuff. So at least it was another successful fantasy league this year, and we will be back next year with the fantasy league as well. So if you would like to join, you want to have a shot at getting a custom trophy, be on the lookout. We'll definitely get some tweets out with regards to getting signed up. And if you've already played, you're already signed up. You're good to go. So there's that. Now, what do we got for you today? Well, I figured we would just get three of the lap traffic faithfuls on just to kind of kick back, relax, and have a good time with. We're going to kick things off with a congratulations to Mr. Jeff Striegle with regards to his retirement. So we're going to get him on. We've got Charles Krall from the Arc of Bernard series. And, of course, we've got the Dr. Aaron Studwell to do our NASCAR/non-NASCAR portion of the show with some Big Ten football, Michigan football. Oh, baby, some Michigan football. We'll throw some Lions in the mix as well. Because, hey, you know, years past, you may not have been a Lions fan, but I don't think there's anyone that isn't a Lions fan. If any of you are in Dallas or, you know, Texas, you know, Dallas, America's team. I think the Detroit Lions are America's team, but hey, who knows? We'll see what happens throughout the rest of the year. So with that said, let's kick things off and get Mr. Jeff Striegle on the line. All right, Lap Traffic Nation, joining me on the line, making his 33rd appearance on the show. He spent 27 years with MRN Radio and from Berlin Raceway. Welcome back to the show, Mr. Jeff Striegle. Sir, how are you?
I am good, Brandon. Happy holidays to you. We got to start there.
Yes, sir. Absolutely. Thanksgiving in the rear view, and Christmas will be here before we know it, man. That's crazy.
That is for sure. Before we know it is exactly right. If we don't have our Christmas shopping done yet, we're probably in deep trouble.
Right. I know. You know, thank goodness for Amazon, right? I mean,
yeah.
I remember like growing up as a kid, you know, like middle school, you know, high school, you know, it was a thing. Like me and friends, you know, we'd go do Christmas shopping and all that kind of stuff. And there was something that, you know, you look back as sentimental about going to an actual mall, but that's like a thing of the past now.
We just did it, and we were at the mall, and we did all of the looking, and my wife, Julie, says, okay, I'll go back and take a look at this stuff online and see what we can do.
Yeah.
And I agree with you. I hate that. It's like, no, this is what I want. It's right here. This is going to be perfect for my grandson. And she's like, I know, but, you know, I might be able to buy it cheaper online or find something different. I'm like, I don't want anything different. I want this.
I want this, and I want it now.
But I lost that argument. I just said, okay, you know what, honey, do whatever you want to do.
Right. There you go. I hear you there. But, yeah, no, it was like, you know, something about the way the malls would be decorated, and, you know, it's just a different feel. And, you know, for me, like, I'm, you know, those that know me know I don't have all of the patience in the world when it comes to standing in lines, but it's like, you know what, you just, you know what you're going to deal with and anticipate, and you just, you know, you embrace it, and then it's not so bad sometimes.
Well, I got something to tell you real quick. We were at the mall on Sunday, and the thing that you notice immediately is you're the only one there. And that is just shocking to me. I mean, the days of you can't park anywhere on their parking facilities because they're jammed. You can't get anything from the food court because the lines are too long. Those days, unfortunately, I think are gone.
Yeah.
You know, we looked around and we're like, okay, we're one of 100 people in this entire mall on a Sunday, you know, 3-4 weeks, whatever it is, before Christmas. They used to be packed, and they're just not packed anymore. They just don't have that feel like they used to have.
I'm with you. That's that is for sure. Man, that was a little trip down memory lane. I wasn't.
There you go.
How was Thanksgiving?
Good, quiet.
Good.
You know, we took in the Lions game. It was exactly what we wanted. We wanted a quiet Thanksgiving for once. We had it. You know, football overdose for the weekend, of course.
Sure.
4 days of college and professional football, but it was great.
Yeah, no, absolutely. The Lions game, you know, that was exciting, and it was one of those games where, okay, you don't mind a 23-20 victory, but it just felt like there should have been like at least two more plays. The way it ended, just kind of had me like looking left and right for a minute, like, no, that's not how it ended, right? Like, I mean, there's at least a play or something going to happen here.
I like calling the Lions the new America's team, and I'll get a little pushback from some. And others, including my buddy Dave Moody, who I know you're friends with as well.
Yes.
He's like, it's my new team. It's my new go-to team. I enjoy watching the Lions, and I think they have captivated the country as being the perennial doormats that now are an exciting football team to watch. I don't think everybody that saw them on Thanksgiving really got a chance to see what we see week in and week out. I didn't think they played that well. They played kind of flat. Should have blown them out. They didn't. They made that game closer than what it should have been. But, that's credit to Chicago for battling back. And I know that's not why we called, but they also know that you and I are Lions fans, and they're going to have to put up with it.
That's a true statement. That is just going to happen every once in a while. And they'll be
that's right.
back on prime time this Thursday with a home game against Green Bay. Looking forward to that one as well. And then since we're on the talk of football, let's go over to college here just for a second, and then we get to a couple other things here. I know you're a Spartan fan. I rep the maize and blue. As the Spartan fan, looking outside in, what'd you take away from Saturday's game there?
From the Michigan standpoint, I was probably as animated for that game as what I can get animated for the Lions. I was certainly pulling for Michigan throughout that game. I expected that game to be 42-10 or worse. The fact that Michigan showed up and their defense played the way they did, I was shocked at Ohio State's play calling. I thought they could have thrown the ball at ease whenever they wanted to and elected not to. Typical Big Ten, Michigan, Ohio State football game where you're running in between the tackles on virtually every play. And I think, thank goodness for Michigan, that's the way Ohio State decided they wanted to play that game. Because it sure seemed obvious, I think, to most all of us that they could have thrown the ball and they could have thrown it effectively, but just didn't. Epic game, epic win for Michigan. I thought it was overshadowed by the classless performance by both teams after the game.
Yep.
You hate it when something like that overshadows a game of that magnitude and with that on the line and two big rivals to have it end the way it did. The NCAA quickly to hand out fines, but it goes so much deeper than that, and you and I both know it. That's coaching on both sides of the football field to make sure things like that don't happen. Disappointed in both teams to see it happen.
Yeah, no, I'm with you on that. That's for sure. Let the win speak for itself. The other antics aren't necessarily necessary, but it is
not at all.
It is.
Yeah.
Jeff, man, the last time we talked was our MIS post show back in August. It was a very interesting 10 to 12 weeks there to close out the season. We'll get to that here in a minute. First, though, it was at MIS in August that you told me that you were going to be hanging it up, and I was really sad to hear that, and now we can officially talk about that. So first, congratulations on the retirement from MRN. I know you're not just going to be sitting in the recliner because you're a very busy guy with Berlin and all of that, but congratulations on closing that chapter, if you will, and has it sunk in yet?
It has, but it hasn't, and here's why. I mean, at the end of the season, we always say goodbye, and we know we've got 3 months of downtime before we reconvene. So from that standpoint, it hasn't sunk in because this is the time that I would normally be off anyway. I think when February rolls around, March gets here, April gets here, and they're hot into the NASCAR season, and I'm not with them, that's going to sting a little or a lot. I just don't know how much yet. They provided such a great send-off. The Motor Racing Network team, they're just such amazing people, and they made Phoenix such a memorable moment for me, if I want to call that entire 5 or 6 days that we were there and together a moment. But it was more than I could have asked for. And it was tough to say goodbye. But, we didn't say goodbye. We just said, we'll see you later, because I know they're thinking about coming up here for one of our events that we've got right around Michigan weekend. They're friends. I'm going to see them someplace or another. So, that's what I had to leave with, Brandon, or I would still be there holding on to Dave and Mike and Alex and the entire team. But I know I'm going to see them again, and it was just a great weekend. It probably hasn't sunk in, but yet at the same time, I'm satisfied with my decision to move forward.
Sure. No, that's awesome. Very cool. Very cool. You mentioned that, you'll see the guys again, all that, obviously, I assume you'll be at Michigan, but are there any other races like that, you might decide, hey, I want to go to this as from a fan perspective?
Yeah, as a matter of fact, we are going to Daytona.
Okay.
It's a place that my wife, Julie, has never been able to go to for Speed Week. She's been down for August. She's always wanted to go down for Speed Weeks. And we made the decision early on that we were going to do that. We're going to, we'll find a different hotel. We've already got that hotel booked. It's not like I'm going down there to hang on, the blue shirts,
Sure.
The Motor Racing Network blue shirts. They're going to do what they need to do. And we're just going to go down and have fun. We might go over to the big track, maybe for the duel on Thursday, but our plan is short tracks, maybe a little big track, maybe a pub crawl or two. There's so many people down there, as you know, that we're all friends with. So we've got plenty of people to hang out with when we get down there. And we're just going to call it our own little vacation. And it just happens to be, the same week as the Daytona 500. Certainly looking forward to getting back to Michigan. I've got plans to actually camp and do the whole infield experience.
Sweet.
That's right.
Sweet.
I mean, I've done it, but I've always had to go back to the hotel, sometimes feeling my way back to the hotel and then turning around and getting back up to go to work. So we've pretty much decided that we're going to take in the whole experience. We're going to get the camper. We're going down. We're going to plant our feet right in the middle of the infield and hang out with everybody and have a good time. That's what we have on the docket so far.
That's awesome. I love that. And speaking of vacations, did I assume you guys got your annual post-championship weekend trip to the Keys in this year?
You mentioned the Lions on Thursday on prime time, which happens to be my birthday. We will be in Key West.
Nice.
And the plan is, and for those that remember Joe Moore, Motor Racing Network anchor for years and years, he's still a very, very good friend. We're going down to see them. And on Thursday night, we'll be at his house, which is on the channel leading out to the Gulf. That is where I'm going to be watching the Lions play the Packers. So that's going to be fun. So, yeah, next week at this time, I will be hopefully in a place that is a whole lot warmer than where I'm standing right now.
Yes, sir. I know that's right. Absolutely. All right, Jeff, let's talk a couple NASCAR topics here. Obviously, we know Joey Logano won his third championship. There's a lot of controversy regarding the playoff format this year, it seemed like, at the end of it all. And it seemed like a lot of drivers were very critical about the way things shaped out this year. This was the 10th year under this format. Why do you think it was met with a little bit more adversity this year than in years past, especially from the drivers?
Well, I think a lot of it probably has to do with how some of our drivers got in. I mean, there's no doubt about that, Joey got in when Alex Bowman got disqualified. Tyler had to kind of get into it in a roundabout way with Christopher Bell. I don't know. The thing is, and we should all get this by now, but no matter what we have, not everybody is going to be satisfied with it. Not everybody is going to support it. You mentioned 10 years in this format. I mean, realistically, you can go back to 2004 when we took away the just race every weekend for points format.
Sure.
we talk about it with the Motor Racing Network guys all of the time that 90% of our fans and none of our drivers ever competed with the old format. 90% of our fans don't even know what the old format was. They just know what it is laid out on paper.
Yep.
None of the drivers competed in it. At this particular point, any driver that would have raced in the old format has retired and moved on. I'll be honest with you. I don't like the conversation. Why? Because I like what we're doing today. I like the knockout format. That doesn't necessarily mean that everybody has to agree with me, and I know they don't. But you and I talked about it when they first brought it in, and I said, man, this just reminds me of March Madness. There's a reason why every college basketball fan across the nation tunes in to watch March Madness. Because undefeated, Kansas, 33 wins, no losses, is going to play the 16 seed that might be 14-14. Well, if it's a bad day, guess what? Kansas goes home.
Yeah.
And we all celebrate that. We think, my gosh, did you see that upset that, took place, last night? And we think that's great. But we don't think that's great when it comes to NASCAR teams. A driver wins every single race all the way up, 26 races. Kyle Busch won them all, but he gets knocked out after the first round of the playoffs. And we think, my gosh, that's a disaster. I don't understand it. I don't know why, but I will continue to preach this. The format that we have gives you something to talk about every single week of the year. And if we want to call it the old format, does not. It just doesn't. So I don't know. I know NASCAR is going back to work, I guess.
Yeah.
And we'll see if they come up with something that is the right change or a change, the wrong change. The problem is when you make a change, you don't know if it's going to be right or wrong. And bottom line is it's not going to make everybody happy. I don't care what they come up with. They're not going to satisfy every NASCAR fan or driver.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. And use Kyle Busch as an example, but hell, I mean, we had it happen in 2020 with Kevin Harvick. Was it 9 or 10 wins and, didn't get to race for a championship. I think it was Denny Hamlin that said it, and I want your take on it because I honestly think it's a pretty good idea of where the regular season champ gets an automatic bid at the championship, whether that's sometimes maybe it's a fifth car if that driver wouldn't have automatically raced his way into the Final Four. Maybe sometimes it would still just be 4 cars if that guy did get there. What are your thoughts on the regular season champ getting an automatic bid for the championship?
I can support that. I would support that. I think there's got to be more value to being the champion of 26 races than just the points that can evaporate in one race. So I would support that. I think the other thing that maybe fans would embrace more is if they didn't have a single race championship. Maybe we need to, it takes 3 to advance, 3 races as we all get, right? Got the round of 16, the round of 12.
Yeah. I like where you're going with this, Jeff.
Maybe, but the problem is how many races do we now have in the playoffs if all of a sudden we had 3 to settle the championship for?
What if the first 3 you doubled the eliminations instead of, something like that? Yeah. I like that.
There's
idea.
A way around it.
Yeah.
But, just to get to where, okay, we are down to the final 3 races. Let's just say it's Talladega, Martinsville, and Phoenix.
Yep.
We're going to just keep doing the same darn thing. And so let's just say that, Tyler Reddick comes into Phoenix with a 10-point advantage over Denny Hamlin, 20 over Joey Logano, and 25 over William Byron. At least he's being rewarded for the prior 2 races, and it's not just a simple single race elimination.
Sure.
I don't know if that does anything for anybody or not, I think I would be for that. I do get the fact that you work your guts out all the way to Phoenix and you cut down a tire on lap number 1, you slap the wall, you go 2 laps down. Essentially, your championship has been eliminated. Where if you built up a little bit of a cushion through the prior 2 races, maybe you've got something to fall back and you keep digging. So I don't know. I'm going to go back and say it. I don't care what they come up with. It's not going to please everybody.
Sure. Nope. I'm with you. The charters, obviously another big hot topic as we are well into the off season here. 2311 Front Row obviously have their legal things going on with NASCAR. I know you don't like to speculate on certain things, but it's got to be awkward, right? Typically when you've got a lawsuit situation, you don't see the other party unless you're in court. These guys are, at the track, will be at the track with NASCAR. Man, that's got to be. It's an unfortunate situation with the way things are going. But where are you at with that situation?
Smart man, when you said that, I know you don't speculate because that's where I'm going to come right back with.
Yes.
You know what? I am not going to weigh in on this too much. I would rather weigh in on this with you when it settles out. You brought up some very exact points. It's unfortunate. It stands to become very ugly. It stands to change the sport, whether it be for the good or for the bad, depending on what side you're on. I don't know where this goes, Brandon. I really don't. And for those reasons, I just say I don't want to weigh in on it. We get the fact that NASCAR runs it the way they think it should be ran. And we also get the fact that we've got 2 teams, maybe more, based on what we've read, that, I signed this, because I knew I had to sign it right away. I signed it, but looking back, maybe I would have supported 2311 and Front Row. So obviously they feel like, what they're looking at makes sense to them, and that NASCAR's, policy and the way they're moving forward doesn't make sense to the teams. I think as an outsider, if we're smart, we say there has to be some common ground. Apparently NASCAR's taking too big of a piece of the pie, and apparently 2311 and Front Row feel like they need more of the pie. The problem is we don't really know what that pie is. We don't know what's going on in those courtrooms, in those boardrooms, other than what we read. And even at that, what we're reading, I don't think we have all of the details to be able to make a sound decision. So this is just something that's got to play out. And my fear is, as it plays out, it is only going to get stickier, uglier. Things are going to be said, things are going to be proven, things are going to be shown. Maybe that turns out to be good for everybody. I don't know. But if it does, I'm going to be surprised, because let's face it, at the end of the day, you're going to have somebody more than likely who's going to win, and you're going to have somebody that's going to lose. And when you got winners and losers, that's probably not a good thing.
No, I'm with you.
Not in this situation.
Said. No, yeah, 100%. And yeah, I we'll put a pin in it for down the road. That's
the crazy thing is, Brandon, real quickly, the crazy thing is, we put 36 cars on the racetrack every weekend. We expect to see a winner, and we expect to see 35 losers. That's the game. That's the challenge, to be the winner.
Yep.
In this particular case, with these 2 massive companies, 3 if you want to divide 2311 and Front Row, but let's put them together for right now. You've got those guys going head to head with NASCAR. That having a winner and a loser in this situation is probably not going to be a good thing. Maybe I'll be proven wrong, and it will be good for the sport as a whole, and it won't cost them, and it won't cost those people, and everybody can agree that this is the right thing and we move forward. But bottom line is, I'll be surprised if that happens.
No, I'm with you. Yeah, no, it's like you said, it's just going to get stickier as it goes on. I'm with you there.
Yeah.
Little positive thing we can wrap with here. I see Berlin came out with their 2025 schedule. That had to be very exciting and nice to be able to check that off the list. I'm sure that is a tedious process getting all of that lined up with all the different series.
It's something I love and something I hate all at the same time. You take a puzzle and you dump it on the table, and there's 1,000 puzzle pieces. And, one of it says super modifieds, and one says sprint cars, and one says super late model big show. And you got your regular shows in there, and you're just trying to work with all the different sanctioning bodies, what we need here at the track, make everything align. And when and that's fun. I will say that's fun. It's challenging. You want to be able to offer the right product to the race fans that come here and support the track. But it's a delicate balance trying to put it all together. And when it is done and you can sit back and look at it and go, you know what, I think we've got a really, really good schedule. And that's how I feel right now. There's a little sense of pride, and you're excited to get it out to the race fans. The race fans have embraced it. So the schedule's ready to go once the snow, stops. Brandon, in 144 days from right now, we will have opening day.
That's awesome.
Weather permitting.
Yes. I'm sure I'm sure the fans will see you at the races a little bit more this summer.
That's the plan. I better be here. Yeah, we weren't really talking about this much when we spoke in August, but yes, that is my plan, is to stay on and work full time and oversee the track here. So I'm looking forward to doing exactly that. We've got a great team here. As you know, we've got great, passionate fans here. We've got drivers that support this racetrack from not only locally here, but from around the country. And I'm looking forward to every minute of it.
That's awesome, man. Very happy for you there.
Yeah.
Jeff, thank you so much for coming on. Wanted to get you on one last time this season and post-retirement to say congratulations and thank you for what you did for the sport. Thank you for the support of the show. Looking forward to having you back on a couple times next year. Hope you and the wife have a great Christmas, happy birthday, and a fun trip, man.
Yeah, all of that and more, right, Brandon?
Yes,
and hopefully 33 won't be my last trip onto the Lap Traffic Nation, because I'm no longer with the Motor Racing Network. But I do appreciate all you do in the sport. I've said it many, many times. I'll say it again. Thank you for everything you do. There's going to be a lot to talk about when NASCAR rolls around. There already is. So anytime, my friend, happy holidays, happy New Year to you, and happy holidays and happy New Year to all the race fans.
Appreciate you, brother. We'll talk to you soon.
You got it. Take care.
Ya. Who doesn't just love Jeff Striegle? I love Jeff Striegle. Just so awesome to talk to. Another huge congratulations to him in his retirement, even though it's not a full retirement, since he'll be, at Berlin doing his thing out there. So looking forward to that with him and having him back on next year. Quick social media. Everybody make sure you check out the website, thelaptrafficpodcast.com. Twitter @LapTrafficPC. We'll get some giveaways back in the mix next year. We've had one. We just really didn't get anywhere with it. So we'll restructure that, if you will, and all of that good stuff. Let's keep things going right along, because I've talked long enough at the start of this bad boy. Let's get another good friend of the show. He was the very first guest on the Lap Traffic podcast back on episode 10. Yes, 328 shows ago, he was the lone guest of the Lap Traffic podcast, and man, how far we've come since then, which is awesome. So let's give a warm welcome, kick back, relax, and enjoy from the Arc of Menard series, Mr. Charles Krall. Lapped Traffic Nation joining me on the line, making his 24th appearance on the show. You'll find him in 3 places all at one time, 2 tracks and a booth. Welcome back to the Lap Traffic Podcast, Charles Krall. What's up, brother? How are you?
Hey, Brandon, how are you, man? Thanks for having me on.
Of course. Thanks for coming back on. It wouldn't be a Lap Traffic season if we didn't have you on, and it took a minute this year, but here we are nonetheless. So welcome back.
That's it, man. It's good to keep the streak alive.
Absolutely. How was Thanksgiving, man?
Well, we had a really nice time. We hosted at our house, Ashley and I, and had a relatively small group, just my children, and I had an uncle come. But no, it was really, really nice. And I am shameless about the fact that I am on the Detroit Lions bandwagon, and that was a really enjoyable part of that whole day. And I'm not look, man. I mean, I live and breathe NASCAR and stock car racing, and I am a very, very casual football fan. I mean, I know the rules, I know how to play the game. I just don't have enough time to dedicate to watching and caring about every game and every player, and
Sure.
Strategies, and who the umps, the refs are, and who the officials are, and these officials are good, these officials. Like, I don't care about any of that. All I know is that the Lions are a really fun team to watch, and I am shamelessly on that bandwagon. So that was a real good time, and it was really good. And hopefully you guys had a nice Thanksgiving as well.
Yeah, no, it was good. Like we had a small group too, and Christmas is our big one that we host. But it was cool. We got to hang out with Alden for 4 days. We took him to his first movie. We took him to the Festival of Lights at the Detroit Zoo. So, no, it was really good family time, which is all you can ask for.
That's all you can ask for,
Yes,
man.
sir. Yes, sir. But, hey, we're happy to have you on the Lions bandwagon. We'll take all the fans we can get.
Let's do it.
That's for sure.
Yeah, man.
So, all right, and I know you're a casual fan, and I know you're from the state down south. What'd you think of that game on Saturday, my friend?
So I'm driving from my home outside of Toledo to Charlotte, and the route takes me right through the center of what I'm going to call today the happiest place on earth, Columbus, Ohio. I'll tell you, I don't have a dog in the hunt. On the college side of things, I'm a graduate of the University of Toledo. My daughter goes there now. She's on the UT marching band. So all my college football energy and effort gets right into what she's doing in the Toledo Rockets, and they haven't had a great season, but that's another story. But I do try to watch Ohio State, Michigan every year if the schedule allows, and thankfully this year it did. And as I always tell people, I don't have a dog in that hunt, so I think it's only fair. I know a lot of people who are Ohio State fans. I know a lot of people who are Michigan fans, and I don't want any of them to be upset. So every year I always pull for a tie, so we both win.
It was close.
It was close. That was a really, really fun game to watch. I know there's a lot of Ohio State people who were upset with how that came out. But it was a really fun game to watch. And,
it's an old school dogfight game. That's like the Big Ten.
Anytime you've got a rivalry game like that, and there's just an overwhelming favorite, and the underdog is able to not only make it a game, but kind of take it to them a little bit. I had a lot of fun watching it. I again don't really care who won or who lost. Just enjoyed watching, and I do understand why there were some upset Ohio State people after the game.
Yep.
But as I said on my Twitter page, if you're upset that they're going to come and plant the flag on the 50-yard line, maybe you should have won the game.
Right.
They wouldn't do that.
Yeah.
They have already beaten you on your home turf. That is now their turf.
Right.
They can do what they want.
Yep. All right. Well, let's talk about what you do have passion for, and that is ARCA.
Yeah, man.
Andres Perez finished second 2023, comes back, wins it all in 2024. Young kid. Tell us about him for those that don't know much about him.
I'll tell you what, man. I think you are going to start to know a lot about him, just like I think we have seen over the last couple of years. Raja Caruth has kind of really
taken the Truck Series by storm, man.
Yeah, I mean, speaking of planting flags, I think Raja has really planted his flag as someone not only who you have to contend with on the racetrack, but he is incredibly popular. He's got a wonderful personality, just a really great guy, and a lot of fun to be around. Andres comes from that same cut of cloth that Raja comes from. He's a really competitive race car driver, just a wonderful personality, a lot of fun to be around, always in a good mood, always smiling, always happy to be around people. And, the fact that he's got that terrific personality is magnified by the fact that he's really good at the wheel of a race car too. A lot of people will point to the fact that, hey, well, he didn't win a race, but he won the championship without winning a race.
Hey,
well, he did have some really, really incredibly stout competition, like historically stout competition in William Swalich and Connor Zilic. I mean, those two just absolutely dominated the entire season. I think both Raja and LeVar Scott both had a really good opportunity to win a couple of races if the 18 car wasn't there, or if the 28 car wasn't there. I mean, that's just the level of competition that those two teams brought to the series this year. They made it really, really difficult for anybody else to get into victory lane. But I mean, Andres, I had an absolute blast working with him for the last couple of years, and I was very, very fortunate that I was wearing an ARCA hat, and he came up and signed it one of the last couple of weeks of the season. And I'm gonna put that one off to the side and hold on to that one, because I think he's going to be somebody that is able to go out there and really do something in the truck series here the next couple of years. I'm really, really looking forward to what he's going to be able to do in 2025 and beyond.
That's awesome. Also wanted to point out we had two fine ladies finish in the top 6 in standings with Tony and Amber. Yeah. I don't know Amber, but I've had her on the show a couple times. She's really cool. That says something very special, I think, with that there. You know what I mean? Yeah.
So, one of the things that we have really taken a lot of pride in the ARCA Menard series over the course of our history is we've always had a really diverse schedule. We've had dirt tracks and short tracks and super speedways and road courses. And, we've gone to, so many different states, like 29 or 30 different states over the years, and 185 or something different racetracks over the years. Diversity has been a part of our schedule for years, and now that diversity has kind of bled over into our competitor base. And we've, our champion was from Mexico. Our rookie of the year is a very talented young black driver. We've had a couple of female drivers in the top 5 as well. I mean, it was just an incredible season on that diversity side of things. And not one of those drivers, they all earned their place at the table. They all backed it up on the racetrack with really solid performances. You're talking about Tony Breidinger and Amber Balkin, and I think both of them, Tony didn't have quite the year that I think she was looking for. I think, coming in off of a really good 2023 season where she had finished 3rd at Kansas, which is, one of the fastest racetracks on the schedule. You need to have a really good car. You need to be really good behind the wheel. I think she was looking to maybe compete for some victories in 2024. And she just didn't quite have the on-track luck. She had some really horrible luck throughout the course of the year. And I think that took her out of contention for, maybe to win some races. I mean, we'll never know what she was going to be able to do at Daytona. She was taken out like on lap 2 early in the race. And that I think is a race that she probably, thought going in that she was going to be able to contend to win. Amber's the same way. Amber had just some really terrible on-track luck. Even on days where she was running really well, she would find herself in a position to where she was turned sideways because someone would get into her, or she'd have a mechanical failure or something like that. So was really happy to see them, when things were going well, they were able to get those finishes that they deserved. And I know Tony has announced she's moving on to the Craftsman Truck Series in 2025 with Tricon Garage, and we've got another graduate there in Corey Heim, and we look forward to seeing what they're both going to do. I don't know what Amber's got planned for next year. I really hope we get a chance to see her back in the ARCA Menard series. I think she's doing everything that this platform is designed to do. She's getting experience. She's learning how to compete at some of these bigger racetracks, and not just make laps, but I mean compete and race for positions in the top 10 and into the top 5. And I hope she's able to continue that into 2025.
All right, it's awesome. Speaking of 2025, any newbies that are going to be coming on that you're excited about?
I've heard some rumblings, but as they have not announced anything yet, I'm not quite at liberty to make those announcements just yet. But I do think that we are going to see, obviously William Wallace moving on. He's going to hop into a Joe Gibbs Racing Xfinity Series car, and that'll open up the 18 ride. I'm hearing some rumblings on who will be in that car, and if that comes to fruition, that they will continue to be a force to be reckoned with in all 20 races. The Pinnacle Racing Group team, the number 28 PRG team that Connor Zilic drove for, again, hearing some rumblings on who will be in that car. If that comes true, I think it's instant championship contender if what I'm hearing comes true there. The Venerini team definitely will be a contender. They generally announce their driver lineup once we get towards the preseason practice down there in Daytona. So I would expect we'll see some announcements out of them in the coming weeks. Just personal hope. I hope I'm not spoiling any announcements. They haven't been made, but Isabella Robusto was so strong in their cars across the platform last year. I would be tickled pink if she was able to come and run not only just the full schedule. I think would be great, but even if she was able to run more races, I think Isabella is somebody that could be the first female winner in the ARCA Menard Series National Tour. She's got that type of drive and that type of skill set to be able to pull that off. So we'll see if that happens. But yeah, I think driver wise, I think we will be set. We did just see Nick Tucker and his Nitro Motorsports group that has been so successful in the Trans Am TA2 division over the course of the past couple of years. He has announced an ARCA program in conjunction with Venerini Motorsports. Nick, I've known Nick for 20 years, back to his days as a fledgling driver in the Truck Series. Just a wonderful, wonderful guy. I couldn't even tell you how many Trans Am races he's won. It's a lot. So to have him come and start an ARCA program, I think is going to be really, really solid. I think they'll be good right out of the box. So a lot of really good news on the ARCA front for 2025. We got the next month or so off as far as like going to the racetrack. There's a lot to do, but December is generally a pretty quiet month. But we are back at the racetrack for our preseason practice January 10th. So things will get heated up. Yeah, things are going to get heated up really, really quickly. And, also pay attention to those East and West schedules when they come out. Hopefully the end of this week, I think we'll have those two schedules out. And I think there's going to be a couple of really nice additions to both of those schedules as well.
Nice. Any new tracks for you guys in 2025?
So we're going to go to Lime Rock Park in Connecticut. Unfortunately, we were not able to find a date that both sides could agree upon at Mid-Ohio. We really would have liked to have been back at Mid-Ohio in 2025. In conjunction, we were hoping we were going to be there on IMSA weekend. And the way the Cup Series schedule lined up, we are there at Michigan that weekend. So, we will unfortunately be racing at Michigan the same weekend. We would have liked to have been actually the same day we would have liked to have been at Mid-Ohio. So we couldn't make that work. So instead, we are going to pair up with the Truck Series at Lime Rock Park, which is such a cool little racetrack. I remember watching races at Lime Rock when I was a kid in the very early days of ESPN. And I just thought, this is such a cool road course. It's like a bull ring of a road course. It's like just under 2 miles. It's not very long. Most of the turns are right-hand turns, so you're kind of going in it's almost like it's an oval track with all right-hand turns. There's a couple of left turns in there, but it's really fast. It's really cool, and I'm really excited to be able to go out there. Like I said, one of these places I've seen on television since I was a kid. So that should be a real fun one. The same, basically the same schedule from there on out. Starting at Daytona, traditional short tracks, Salem, Berlin, Elko, Toledo, all back on the schedule. The two dirt tracks at DuQuoin and Springfield back on the schedule. Talladega, Michigan, Kansas. I'm really, really glad, Brandon, that I've got these few weeks off. I'm taking a little vacation time here in the month of December, because once we hit the ground running there in January, man, it's going to be full out until we get to Phoenix in November.
Isn't that crazy? Like, already talking about, oh man, I better take it in now, because come January, I don't get a break again till November.
That's it, man.
Any plans for Christmas and New Year's?
I hesitate to make plans because I like to have these 4 or 5 weeks in the midst of the off season. I like to just have some quiet weekends at home.
Sure.
I'm sure I'm going to go see some basketball games at the University of Toledo, and
cool.
I would love it if the Rockets were chosen to come up to be in the Motor City Bowl there at Ford Field. What a great venue to watch a college football game at. We'll
That'd
see.
Be cool.
Fingers crossed on that one. Other than that, Brandon, no, I'm just gonna enjoy my little staycation down there in Sylvania, Ohio. Enjoy some quiet weekends at home with Ashley and the kids, and like I said, I'm gonna re-energize. So when we do get back in the office that first week of January, we're ready to hit the ground running.
I love it. Well, sir, thank you so much for popping on here for a little bit. It was good to catch back up with you. Safe travels. Hope you and Ash have a great Christmas and New Year's, and we'll catch you soon, sir.
Yeah, man. Give Lindsay a big hug for me, and give Alden a little fist bump. And,
I will do that.
Hopefully we'll see you at the races soon.
Yes, sounds good, sir. All right, brother. We'll talk to you soon. Take care.
You got it, Brandon.
See you, man. We'll see you. Love talking to Mr. Charles Krall. Just so awesome. Wealth of information, knowledge. And, everyone talks about having a passion for the sport in terms of, fandom and all of that. And that's the thing with Charles that, you can just feel, he's worked in the sport. And, sometimes, if you've worked in an industry as long as he has, it can kind of get mundane or stale. And that is just not the case for him. And you can sense that when you meet him in person, when you talk to him. He just absolutely loves this sport, and it's awesome. And, he's at the track when he isn't working. He's at Toledo Speedway just hanging out with people, or Flat Rock, all of those things. So it's great to see that pure passion behind someone that's been in the sport as long as he has. So let's keep things rolling, and let's get the doctor on the line now. All right, Lap Traffic Nation, joining me back on the line. You can follow him on Twitter at RaceWeather. He was on the show, our very last show. That was just 15 weeks ago. Here he is back again. It's the Dr. Aaron Studwell. Sir, how are you? Hail to the victors.
Hail to the victors. Good afternoon, sir. I'm doing well. Let's not say last show. Let's say previous show.
Previous. All right, that'll work. We've got
I like that better. Last sounds final. I've got enough finality in my life.
Fair enough. I love that. We had the victors there playing you onto the show. We had kind of talked about doing a show a couple weeks ago, and I didn't think we'd be playing the victors to bring you on at that point in time. But we do have some things to celebrate. But first, how was your Thanksgiving, sir?
It was nice. It was low key. Just around the house, around town. Yeah, it was pretty decent.
Good deal. Yeah, it was quiet on our. It was smaller on our side than what we normally do. So I'll take that. No, nothing to complain about. That's for sure.
Good.
So, all right, Michigan. Let's go back to the previous show and our picks, if you will. We're a little off.
Wow, did we missed one? We've missed two really big ones.
Yes,
we missed the big season overview.
Yep.
But fortunately, you also missed the last game of the season.
Yes,
because I think we both picked Ohio State to win.
We did. And now, did you have them winning against Texas, or did you have them losing Texas?
I thought it was going to be close. I thought they were going to win at home. I thought they were going to beat Texas.
I did too. If I recall, I think I had them beating Texas because it was early in the season, and if it had been a later game, I don't think I had them. I think I had them losing to Oregon and to OSU.
That sounds right.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And here we thought they were going to have a quarterback. Nothing against Davis Warren. He's a great story. He's supposed to be a great kid. I'll call him a kid.
Yeah.
But that just the whole quarterback situation didn't go as I think anybody thought.
Well, all right. So I want to come back to that but first, where I want to go with our wins and losses was after the Texas game. At that point, I'm reevaluating life, and I'm like, okay, maybe we'll be lucky to win 3, and then I thought we were going to get, we had that little life shot, if you will, with the USC game. I'm like, okay, all right, we got the jitters out. We were going to be golden from there, and then we still had, it took a minute to even get back from that one.
But look at our losses this season, and I saw this the other day. We lost to Oregon. They're number 1. What, Texas is 2?
Yeah.
In Indiana, 8 or 9?
Yeah.
Those are some of our losses. I mean, we didn't lose to bad teams. We lost by 5.
Yeah, no, I mean, we've got, when you look at the losses, like you said, Texas, okay, they're ranked where they're ranked. Illinois,
yep.
But you've got 2 ranked wins. You've got the USC, who was ranked 11th, and you've got Ohio State, and that obviously is we'll get to in a minute. But now I do want to go back to the quarterback situation, right? Because, at the time, and you and I have been talking about this for years, the Jim Harbaugh jump to the NFL, and it finally happened. And, let's say Jim Harbaugh still here this year. He put, he didn't know at the time when he was recruiting what year he was going to go. He put it in to Alex Orji. So, what was missed to where that was, I guess I'm just so blown away by the fact of, yes, we lost a lot of players to the NFL in the draft after winning the national championship. I get that. But, there was some setup. I guess what I would say is if Jim Harbaugh was here this year, are we still talking the same record? Like, I guess, what would have happened?
I don't know. And I think with Orji, I think what they saw was talent, a great athlete. But from my understanding is he never even showed in practice that he could read a defense, that he was able to adapt to collegiate defenses, and that he honestly, if it happened in the offseason or went through the spring, he might have wound up as a running back or receiver. Not like that hasn't happened before.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then Tuttle, then the second string quarterback was supposed to be Tuttle. He had concussion problems and retired mid-season. So now you're down to Davis Warren. I just think that when you look at quarterbacks that you're going to miss on a few and think that, okay, he's a good athlete, maybe I can develop him, and maybe Harbaugh would have been better getting him to read defenses in that coaching, and then maybe there's something that needs to be evaluated. I'm not sure who the QB coach is right now, but maybe that needs something that needs to be evaluated going forward.
Sure. And one of the things I heard on Detroit sports, talking about what they actually did accomplish. They won their trophy games too. They didn't lose a single one of those. So obviously the Ohio State game, turns it from a frown to a lukewarm smile. Maybe, we're obviously not grinning ear to ear. But I do have to talk about, or I want to talk about we got to talk about the fight. What'd you think about that afterwards?
It was disappointing. I disagree with people who say it should be. I disagree with people who say it should be banned. I want to make sure I was saying that sentence properly. It shouldn't be banned. The best comment I saw was like, Ohio State showed more fight in that altercation than they did all 60 minutes.
Absolutely.
And it's not like this is the first time this has happened. Baker did it at Ohio State, and he's like, this is always what happens between OU and Texas in rivalry games. Didn't Texas come in and do it on our field earlier this year?
Yeah, that's true.
And Oregon.
Yeah.
So we were big boys about it. We didn't get upset. We didn't throw a fit. And we didn't start a fight and have the police mace our players and media.
Right. That's when it got a little crazy. And I guess, for me, I agree, that's what makes it the rival. If you're not going to see Michigan anytime they go and beat, and I'll use our friend, Brian Newdorf, in terms of Michigan's not going to go plant their flag at the Boilermakers every time they beat them.
Right.
And vice. Now, on the flip side, Purdue could potentially do that if they ever beat Michigan in the Big House. And I think that would be warranted.
Agreed.
And, so it's.
Or if they did it at their field, they would rush the field.
Right. Yes.
Like
absolutely.
We've seen way too many times in the SEC this year.
Fair enough. So I think if it warrants, it's got to be a special moment. Personally, if it was, last year's rankings, I don't know if Michigan necessarily does that. But when you're a 20-point underdog going into someone else's house that's ranked and potentially playing for a national championship, and you upset them, that's a special moment, So I can see that now. And after the fact, I think that's on Ohio State to not have the the coaches Ryan Day looked like a chicken with his head cut off in terms of, what's happening out here? Like, dude, that's on you as a head coach to be able to get your team back in check in a very, short window in time period to get off the field.
It's a lack of discipline on his part of his team. Absolutely. And Moore wasn't going to do anything until it just broke out and got all out of control, because he was going to let the players and staff go and celebrate.
Yes. Once it went away from the celebration, then that's when, he tried to rally everybody back in check.
Yeah.
So now we have to poke fun at the NIL $20 million OSU spent to, the joke is they spent it to beat Michigan. And, here they are, 0-4 right now. So,
yeah, true. And they're going to drop 10 on us.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Yeah. They just forgot a 0.
Can I make it political for a second?
Of course.
Kamala is $20 million in debt and lost as well.
and lost the state of Michigan.
Yes, there you go.
Oh, I love it. Okay, so here I got a couple more talking points around this. I want to talk some playoffs here, and I want to start with an issue that I already have with the new playoff format. And then I have a conspiracy theory for you and want to see your thoughts on that. So
I do have a compliment for you real quick, though.
Yes, please.
You did call the chaos and the cannibalism that is happening in the SEC of all these teams beating one another. that you would have 3-loss SEC teams kind of vying for one of those last 2 playoff spots.
Well,
you called that.
Well, and once you saw the shift of how the NCAA was going, or not even the NCAA, but the conference shakeup, you just saw that happening. So thank you for that. I appreciate that.
Yeah, but it didn't happen as much in the Big Ten. I mean, you have an undefeated Oregon, you have a one conference loss. Ohio State, you have two.
Yep.
One conference loss. Penn State, one conference loss. Indiana. So you didn't see that cannibalism. That the conference is a much more top-heavy conference where you had teams like Vandy, South Carolina, kind of making their charge. Vandy made their charge mid-season. South Carolina's made it late. Where they may have 2 or 3 conference losses, but man, they're beating teams you wouldn't think they would.
Sure. Yep. Nope. I'm with you. Okay, so here's where I'm at with the playoffs, and that is, it took away, in my opinion, a little bit of this Michigan and Ohio State game, and this is what's going to lead to my conspiracy theory a little bit, because, if Michigan or Ohio State lost last year, they have no bid. They've got no shot. They're out of the playoffs. They're not making the Final Four.
Right.
And I get the expansion. We see expansions in playoffs all the time because it's going to make just that much more money for everybody involved. We've seen it in March Madness with the expansion of the tournament a few times. We've seen it in the NFL. We've seen it in baseball. We've seen it all across the board. We've seen it in NASCAR when we've went from, expanded to a 16 field, which is half the damn field makes the playoffs in NASCAR, So I get the expansion. It's more money. It's more viewership because what are we clamoring for in July? Hey, it's almost football season, right? So I get that. But that took away a little bit of the meaning of rivalry week, especially with these two teams in that regard because of the expansion, right? And so now that leads me to my conspiracy theory of is Ryan Day smart enough, or is the team smart enough, or can we accept in our minds the potential that they lost potentially on purpose?
No.
To have a bye week, knowing they're still getting a home playoff game, still in the playoffs, and can go on and still win a national championship?
I don't think they're going to get a home playoff game. I really don't.
Well, so yeah,
but,
so that's the thing.
We'll put the home playoff game aside because we've really got to get through the conference championship games this week.
Yes.
Do you think let's turn the scenario a little bit, but it's on the same topic. If let's say Ohio State beats Oregon by 1, right?
Yep.
So they're coming in undefeated, no conference losses. Do you think that they beat Michigan? Do you think that makes a difference?
Probably not, because that was so far ago in the season.
Right. So now you're looking at now take your scenario. Now you're going and saying Ohio State would now have 1 conference loss, and I'm not sure how all the tiebreakers would go.
Yeah.
But I think they would be going to Indianapolis next weekend instead of probably Indiana.
Yep. Who they're going to get clobbered, by the way, but I digress.
Yeah. So yeah, I don't think that they lost on purpose. I think Lane Kiffin showed that when you say, "Hey, what's wrong with losing on purpose?" then you go lose a game you don't plan on. I think that loss, even if it was on purpose, I don't think it's on purpose because I think it puts too much pressure on that team now.
Yeah.
So, and if you win the game, and how many times have we seen where NFL teams say, what was it, the Colts a couple years ago, they sit their starters the last 2 games of the season and they go into the playoffs, they have no rhythm, they have no mojo, and they lose. That would be as a coach, I think my biggest concern. You go out and what was it, Tony Dungy, you play to win the game.
Yep. No, I'm
So-
with you. That was something they brought up on local radio. I'm like, man, that's a good, those are just the fun things to talk about there. If it,
Yeah.
one now, especially now that college, you can bet legally on college sports, and because it is the game that it is. I mean, there's a level of pettiness with this rival in terms of, you drive through Columbus that week of the game, you got the M's all crossed out and all that
Yep.
kind of stuff. I mean, so yeah, no, I don't think they threw it on
Yeah,
purpose.
because plus
but-
you wanted to win that game, so now you're going to get a rematch with Oregon on a neutral site, but it's going to be
Yes.
much more of a home game it would have been much more of a home game for Ohio
absolutely.
State than it would be
Yes.
for Oregon.
you bring
And
up
then you win that game, and now you get a bye, and you likely play. You'd say if you beat Oregon, who else would be? Yeah, it might be the 1 seed.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yep. You bring up a good point with that. Obviously the Big Ten, pretty well centered, and this has been my biggest complaint with the realignment is, it didn't go north to south, it went west to east. If you're Oregon, if you're USC, you've got a legitimate beef with the Big Ten if they either don't centralize more or rotate the Big Ten championship game, because you're 100% right. Now, regardless, if it's Oregon or USC makes it to the Big Ten championship game, if it stays in Indy, it's almost an automatic home game for whoever is not them.
But you're going to have to find an inside venue. Unless you want to play it outside, because you're not going to play it in Oregon. You're not going to play it in Seattle. You're not going to play it in Seattle in December.
No.
And then you think the furthest east any inside stadium, or furthest west any inside stadium is that's kind of in that footprint is going to be Phoenix. Doesn't make any sense. Well,
now you're
really
getting too far west for your traditional school.
So it's Minneapolis, or you play in North Dakota State's home inside stadium for 12,000 people.
Right? Yeah. Oh,
Which
man.
would be fun. That would be fun.
Yeah. Let's see here. What else we got? Michigan NIL. They're dropping some dime. Thank you, Dave Portnoy, and whoever that lady is.
Yes. Yeah, Bryce Underwood, the $10 or $12 million man, depends on who you hear it from.
Right. I didn't go see him, but I have
out there. Real quick, with that number out there, do we get that same label of, hey, you just dropped $10-12 million on a quarterback, and you guys are what, 8? We'll call it 8-4, 9-4 next season.
Yeah, I mean, I think the stigma's there until you can at least prove that, hey, we did it and it worked, right? Like,
right.
We talk about, salary caps in baseball, and the Yankees, always being in the, what is it, top 5% or top 5 payrolls, and it's like,
yes,
some years they don't even make the playoffs with that, so, hey, if they're willing to spend and it works, then, fantastic.
Right.
It's when it
where
doesn't.
the game is now.
Yeah, right. It is.
Unfortunately.
Now I wanted to go back to OSU for a quick minute. Ryan Day, if they where do you think they're at with that? Is it a must-win national championship to keep the job?
As a Michigan man, I will beg Ohio State, do not fire him.
We're in his head now, man. Like if we weren't, we are now.
I told Chris Childers that the other day. Don't fire Ryan Day.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. I don't know, man, because if they weren't going to the CFP, he would have been gone.
Right?
He wouldn't even be there for
faster than the
game.
Chicago Bears coach with losing to the Lions on Thanksgiving.
Oh my gosh, So it was both him and Mac Brown.
Yeah,
I want to be here next season. No, you're not.
Right? Yeah. But yeah,
it's about that. Oh man, yeah, I could see if they lose in the final. It depends on how the run goes. If they lose in the first round, say they have to travel to Boise, and Jennings just runs rampant all over them,
Yeah.
I could see him being fired. If they make the finals and they lose by 4 to Oregon again, I'm not sure the brackets would play out, so I'm not sure if that's possible.
Do you think he wants to come back? Because, and now, I mean, from what I've heard, if those in Columbus cannot stand, they want him gone. And so it's like,
they want him gone last year.
Right. And now, I know that feeling because you and I talked about it. There were years I was like, all right, let's move on from Harbaugh. And, so I know what that, how that is from the fan base perspective. I wonder, does he even want to come back? I wonder. I mean, I'm sure it's a nice paying job, but it's like, if you're not wanted, if he gets booed in the shoe, I don't think it never got that bad for Harbaugh, but if he gets booed in the shoe like that.
Yeah. So they say it's the second coming of Earl Bruce.
Mm-hmm.
You're the guy that you don't want to be the guy that replaces the guy.
Yeah. Well, and is Sharon Moore in that situation right now?
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
No.
Okay.
It's hard to put him on the hot seat after 1 year. You've had so much disruption at the quarterback position. The guy who he thought was going to be really thought was going to be your number one didn't pan out. Okay, maybe I'm not sure if Moore did. Maybe Moore didn't even recruit him.
No, I wouldn't imagine, no, because he was here. Orgy was here for 2 years, so that had to have been a Harbaugh recruit. So,
well, I mean, but was Moore on staff there, and did he go to meet with them and know them? And
yeah,
it was a personal relation. And then Tuttle gets hurt. Warren's in, Warren's out, and you got Bryce Underwood. Maybe I think Moore's going to have at least 2 more years. I think if he has another. What are they, 7-5 now? I should know this.
Yeah.
If they finish next year at 7-5, he's on the hot seat.
Yeah. Well, and that's where I think, the biggest, you can spend all the money you want on a player, but, I hope they let him go and spend a little bit money on, some upgrades on assistant coaches, quarterback coach, like, that's I guess that's my thing when you go back, like, to the question of, when we were talking about Ohio State and their 20 mil, if you're not going to do anything to help develop the players, then you're really, wasting the money, so at least make it worth its while,
Well, I don't think I don't think they're not doing anything. It's just either the players peaked out in as good as he's going to get because everybody has a cap and they may have just figured Orgy's cap was different than what somebody else Underwood's cap is.
Sure.
And it just was a weird. I mean, it just we talked about Donovan, and he never. I mean, Khalil Mullins made all his third team all Big Ten, but Donovan Edwards, he didn't do much of it. I mean, he kind of was the invisible man and dealt with injuries. And Colson Loveland missed the last 2 games. Will Johnson missed the last 2 games, 3 games.
Yeah.
So you kind of finished the season without a full squad. You had injuries at the quarterback position and non-development and then rotating. And somehow we won that Arkansas State game where Warren threw 3 interceptions?
3, yep. Fair enough. Did we beat this dead horse to death?
No, I think if you gave us another hour, we could probably come up with more topics. You would lose listeners,
right?
But you and I would be entertained.
That we would. I was gonna say, should we dance over to the NFL for a quick minute and talk America's new team? The new America football team, not the Dallas Cowboys.
That'd be the Buffalo Bills?
The Buffalo Bills? Nah. We got them in 2 weeks, man.
Yeah. Jameis Winston?
Yeah.
We can talk to you.
Man, them Lions, man. 11. So I got a funny story. So the one loss that the Detroit Lions have, I have sole blame on my brother-in-law. And that is game 2, Tampa Bay. I took him to that game as a birthday gift from last year because I was supposed to take him to a game last year. It was supposed to be the Denver Broncos game, But when that got flexed to a night game, he wasn't able to go. So I said, all right, well, we'll do an early game next season. Well, I took Lindsay to the opening, obviously. And so I'm like, all right, well, I'll take you to the Bucks game. That's their one loss. Now, he's also he's a Spartan fan. Okay, so we got two.
He's carrying bad mojo. Is what it is.
Well, so here's the thing. They were like, "What time should we come over on Thanksgiving?" And I said, "Come over after halftime." Okay. Now, prior to them walking into our house, the Lions were dominating that game. And we're, cool. All right, no problem. The second my brother-in-law walks in the house, shit hits the fan with this game.
I'm sorry to laugh.
No, and they only live 4 miles away. And they were like, after the game, I'm going to go and let the dog out. And with 5 minutes to go, I looked him in the eye and I said, go do it now. And he wasn't moving. So I literally went into the basement and had to separate myself from him so that I could reset the mojo. So that's why they barely won, is because I moved away from my brother-in-law. So
that Matt Eberflus was still the head
coach. So I can never watch. I will never watch another game. I told him, I go, dude, I'm like, you're never coming to a game with me again. There's just, it's officially been proven that you are a curse with me in watching sports. So can't happen.
1 time is a data point, 2 times is a trend.
Right. Exactly. It's a very small sample size, but I am sticking with it.
You're done with it. N equals 2. That's all you need.
Oh, man. But anyways, we got the Packers Thursday night, prime time again. We'll be there, ready to go. And there's rumor floating around that the Bills game, which is a 4:25 game, that could get flexed to either Sunday night or Monday night potentially.
That'd be great. That'd be clutch.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, that would be. I've watched most of the Buffalo San Francisco game. That was something else. Mm-hmm. Those snow games are getting to be something else. And then they're getting a new stadium without a roof.
Right?
Love that.
So, all right, tell me if this is a Mandela effect or not for me, because I remember growing up as a kid vividly seeing a lot more home Michigan football snow games than what we have had in in the last 10, 15 years. I, for some reason, remember watching that a lot more growing up as a kid.
I think that's a Mandela effect. I honestly think it's because they are just so much more memorable. I think the 4 years that I was there, we only had one snow game. We had a lot of games that were freezing cold.
Sure.
But never. I think we only had one snow game in the 4 years I was there.
Okay.
And I've got a lot of. I do have some pictures on my computer of, not in the last 2-3 years, but that's definitely some snow games from there.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I swore I remember seeing a lot of Michigan snow games, but that's fair. I'll go with that. But yeah, so we're shaping up here pretty. I wish Minnesota would. They hung on to another nail biter. I'd like a little cushion, but they're not giving us any cushion. So we just got to keep doing our thing. So, but we finished. We got the Packers, the Bills, then we're at the Bears, at the 49ers, and then we close things out with the Vikings. So that could be another important game there.
What are you guys looking at, a 13-win season?
Let's see, 11-1 right now. I mean,
so better than
easily.
That. Yeah.
We better finish 13 wins. So yeah. What's coming up for Christmas, man?
I'm actually looking at the Commanders' schedule here. At New Orleans, hosting the Eagles, hosting the Falcons, then at the Cowboys. They should be able to win at least 2. They should beat the Falcons at home.
Yeah.
So yeah, and hopefully they beat the Cowboys there. Right now, the plans, I'm going to go visit my Kentucky family, my
Cool.
old in their old Kentucky home.
Okay. Good deal.
Yeah, just work up. You know me. I'll work right up to the holiday and take some work on the road, and
Yeah.
it just doesn't really stop. Race season, we've got three clients racing at Daytona on Rolex 24 weekend.
Cool.
And so just got to get them in cars and ride. Well, they've got rides. I need to get them sponsorships, but yeah, that's going to be here before we know it.
Good deal.
Yeah, we're looking at a redo. We'll hopefully have a remodeled race weather up for start of NASCAR season.
Sweet.
Yeah, just everything's kind of moving forward.
Good deal. Good deal.
Yeah.
Cool, man.
How about yourself? Anything going on for the holidays?
We'll have a little bit bigger of a turnout for Christmas than what we did for Thanksgiving, which is cool. And just going to hang out. We've got some events to cater and take the food truck to. We're going to have it at a couple breweries over the holidays and all that good stuff. And, yeah, just get ready to keep things rolling strong in 2025. And hopefully do a few more Lap Traffic podcast shows next year.
There we go. No,
Yes.
that'll be good. Definitely count me in.
Yes, sir. Good deal. Cool. Well, listen, man, good to catch back up with you, have you on, all that good stuff, and we'll catch you on the flip side.
Thank you, sir. We'll stay in touch for the holidays.
Of course.
To all of our listeners, to all of your listeners, Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, to whatever you celebrate. Make it a good one.
Absolutely. Sounds good, man. All right, man, we'll catch you soon.
Talk to you soon.
See ya. Bye. Oh, Lap Traffic Nation, there you have the Dr. Aaron Studwell. Aaron, if you're still here, I applaud you being able to listen through that there because, we went a little deep. And, yeah, Aaron's not wrong. We could have gone another hour on Michigan football and really diving deep into things there. And I love throwing a good conspiracy theory out there. That's always fun. Love talking with Aaron. So great to have had him a part of this show since season 2. Which has been awesome. He's been on so many times when we did weekly weather reports and all of that good stuff. So anyways, great to have him on. And Lap Traffic Nation, that is going to do it for episode 338 of the Lap Traffic Podcast. Huge thank you to Jeff Striegle, Charles Krall, Aaron Studwell for coming on. Got to give a big shout out to my wife as we close out the season as she still encourages this fun-filled adventure that we have going on here with the Lap Traffic Podcast. She helps keep me strong and to keep it going, and part of the reason why we're still here after 8 seasons. I cannot believe it. Cannot wait to be back in more detail next year, season 9 of the Lap Traffic Podcast. Don't get caught chasing the lucky dog. Tune in maybe every week for the Lap Traffic Podcast. See ya! Merry Christmas!